Hello, my name is Ethan, and welcome back to another episode of Path of Exile Harvest League. This is my garden, and welcome back to another episode. How you guys doing? Good morning. I'm just showing you off in my garden what I've done in Harvest League up till now. I'm level 85 with my Carrion Golem Elementalist. No skellies anymore. We've already upgraded. What point did we do that at? Here, just for the video's sake, I have two Eminence, a Might, and a Harmony. I'm going to be going for Anima Stone soon, and then an extra Might, PogChamp. So this is my garden. Today, I'm going to be going over pretty much how to grow tier 2s, tier 3s, and tier 4s, how the dispersers work, how to actually make the bigger gardens, how they actually work, how to place shit, how to make your garden work, because I think that's the most complicated, very early beginning part. This is a basic, like, day 2 video about how Harvest League works. So I'm first going to go through with you guys how the tier 1s work, and then get the more complicated tier 2s. So, let's start it off. Let's say you come into the game and you touch a seed cache. You get your seeds. So you would get your seeds. They're always tier 1 from a seed cache from a map, and you come into your garden with these collectors. So what you would do is you can either place the seeds yourself, or you can use a collector. So one sec, gotta do my trade. Okay, so you have these tier 1s, and you can actually plant them out in the open on their own, and you don't need to put anything next to them, and they will actually just grow on their own. Then when you actually want to collect them, you have to use this thing called a collector. I like to call it a harvester, because it's what it does. So you can put it down in the middle, and it does a 2 by 2 radius, so it's a 5 by 5 grid of these seeds. So 5 by 5, and in the middle is the collector. What this actually does is you can click this button when there's 8 or more. I like to do it when I have 25 to get the most out of the crop, because you'll notice that if you wait till you have more, when you hover, then it says increased life force, more damage, more max life, more quant, more item rarity for the more you have. Okay, so then also another tip is what I would recommend in the beginning when you get a chance, pretty much just put down a collector of each type in an area that's open enough where you have room, and then all you have to do when you collect your tier 1s in the beginning, you don't have to worry about harvest that much. All you have to do is plant the tier 1s with auto plant wild seeds. It will always only plant tier 1s. This is why I'm saying I'm not going to spend too much time going over the tier 1s. I think it's pretty basic. And now it's time to go over. Oh my god. So now where it gets more complicated is when you have your tier 1s and you've waited the 5, in this case, because I have higher tier seeds now, higher level, item level, so you see that they spawn 76, they last 5 growth cycles. So a growth cycle is when you touch a seed cache, so every time you play a map and you touch a seed cache, and you get more seeds, it's going to update. So basically, I don't worry about these every cycle anymore. I do them on a big cycle. So let's say when all 25 of these get completed, then I will just click this harvest button to begin the harvest on all 25, and so now here's where it gets complicated. So let me find one that's ready or something of the sort, close enough, you know. I might have to go run a few just to have a fully completed ready 25. Yeah, I have to run a couple. I'll be right back. Small side tip I noticed is I couldn't progress my 74s and 76s with blood aqueducts. So that's really weird. But anyways, here we have a 5 by 5 crop. Ignore the extra, okay? Don't worry about that. But basically, what we have here is a 5 by 5 crop that's ready to harvest. And so what I'm going to show you is, first I'm going to detach it. Okay, so what you see is you can collect the big field. So this is when you have 5 tier 1s ready to go. Collect this life force, more damage, yeah. So let's harvest. And what we're going to do is show what you have to do after. So I'll try to explain it so that it's straightforward with examples. So we kill off the whole field, it gets ready. So you can touch this and it says craft, and it'll show you all of the crafting recipes. So the way I look at this is this thing that they call a collector is basically a harvester and crafter. So all this does is harvest the crops and allows you to craft. So you can do all these crafting recipes, sure. You can craft stuff like collectors, Pylons, dispersers, storage tanks, horror crafting. So to unlock these, if you don't have them already, you have to do a quest. And the quest is usually some random thing like condensing life force, putting down seeds, putting down a tier 2, getting a tier 2, using a disperser properly. I'm going to show you how to use all this stuff. So I've shown you guys collectors and tier 1. It's very basic. This is the simple beginning. So when you farm tier 1s, you get life force. Well, when you farm any of them, you get life force. So you're going to be harvesting life force and getting crafts. If you don't care about the crafts, then you can condense the life force. But I will warn you, this collector, harvester, crafter only has 50 life force storage, and so if you click it with 342, it's going to waste it. So you actually need exterior storage. So that's where these things come in. So all of this is an outside network of life essence that is separate for growing your higher tier. You don't need life essence in the storage tanks, the disperser, and all this shit for crafting. It's for higher tier seeds. So this is where we get into higher tier seeds now. So what I will show you is what you can do is you can press V and it opens up this. So once you've bought collectors, pylons, dispersers, storage tanks, you can store them inside your seed storage, actually, which is really nice. But anyways, I would take my pylon, and what you can do is, so you can see a collector here. Let's say I just harvested fresh these purples. What I would do is put down a pylon next to it. What I also found is this. You can put it on the corner. So just normally, let's say this is 3 blocks away. You can connect your pylon to the collector. And now, you see how it changes purple? So this is a purple collector. Now you connect it to the pylon and it turns purple. This one's still gray. You connect it to the purple pylon and now it turns purple. So there's visual indicators to know when it's connected. And basically what I'm going to get at is what you would do is you have this extra life essence and you want to connect it to your tanks to store it up. Because you can't store it in a collector because it can only store 50. A tank can store 300. So what I'm going to do is, I have this yellow pylon already connected to my elaborate system, which really isn't that elaborate, I'll get into shortly. But all you have to do, connect your yellow one to the yellow collector, and then when you're ready, you can condense, because, I'll show you, connected to my yellow line, you can see my big yellow line. You'll see tanks every now and then. Tank, more pylons. Here's a dispersers, which I'll explain in a second as well for the higher tier seeds. But yeah, I have this big storage of yellow tanks, and I can add more to it. So now I will show you something I figured out. So if you're wondering how you would add storage to this, I'll give you the very quick example over here. It's very easy. So you have pylons, and you have storage tanks. So, like I showed, you would add a pylon to the side of your farm, let's say the corner, instead of the middle. So you add it to the corner, and now you have a cable. Now what I found is, you can do a pylon 4 blocks away. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4th block is another pylon, and then these can attach. So then I realized, well, this pylon only has 2 connections, and you can have up to 4. So I figured out that you could actually add, like, 2 tanks to each pylon on the traveling. And so, like, for example, add another one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Connect these 2. And then you can add the storage tanks in the middle of this. And you can also add the storage tanks in the middle of this. So you can just keep adding storage tanks on the travel of every single thing. And you notice it fills it in perfectly with the gaps. It's like, oh my god, this is so crazy. And you could have all the colors going in one line and shit. Each one takes up a space for each line, so you have to burn some. But this is how you would get so much storage in a system while just cabling it over to what you're actually trying to do. So you've been able to harvest tier 1s, grow tier 1s, and store it in tanks. What is the next step, you may wonder? Okay, so now let's get into the more complicated stuff where people are all getting confused, because they're not getting confused with tier 1s. Maybe they're getting confused with storage and actually pylons, okay? Sure. What is next? How do you grow the higher tier? So I will show you with an example again, because it's the best way to do it. So let me get another area open. So we'll use this area. for example. So we'll start it off with another collector. And so the point of this one is going to be tier 2. I'm going to be showing you guys how to do a tier 2. So let's say we have this tier 2. I'm not actually going to do it, but I'm going to set it up just for the visual. So you have this collector that does this area of a 5x5. You can put down your tier 2. So the tier 2 requires life essence. This is where you guys get confused, and it also requires adjacent wild seeds. It's very easy. So all you have to do is put down your tier 2 that requires vivid. You can even read it here, vivid. Okay. So what you're going to have to do is actually put down some tier 1s next to it to meet the tier 1 requirement. So all you have to do is surround it in a few tier 1s like that. You can see that it now says requires 0 more adjacent wild seeds. It's so easy. There's wild. You could even put down a big field and it would also work because it covers the area where your tier 2 is. Now you see this field. This is how I would recommend to lay out your tier 2 if you were to do a tier 2. You could also put a tier 2 here, here, here. You could mix it up, put a bunch of tier 2s in. You could have the whole middle as tier 2s. Okay. Now comes the part where everyone gets confused. So you have this tier 2 that requires vivid. How would you get vivid over here? So I have this thing called the disperser. A lot of people like to call it dispenser. What I would like to call it instead is a sprinkler. So I've called this thing a harvester crafter because that's what it does. It harvests your crops and then it allows you to craft, and then you can store it in your storage tanks for liquid. Okay. Now to actually use the liquid from the storage tank, you need a disperser, which I call a sprinkler. So you have to put the sprinkler on your farm to sprinkle the vivid onto your tier 2. So I put it in where it's in range. You see how the square, this 2x2 5-block thing, is in range from outside the farm. So now this vivid is in range of this. So this isn't actually dispersing yet. You have to turn it on. So you have to turn on auto disperse. It isn't dispersing anything yet because it's not connected to my network. So now I have to actually run this over to where I have my tanks and my cables and all that shit. So this could be pretty hard, but give me a second here. We're going to work it out. So over here, all the way over here, I have a yellow pylon. So what I'm going to do is put down this and try to make a connection to the yellow, but what we find is I have maximum connections already, so I'm gonna try to add another pylon in here. I'm gonna make a connection here, then I'm gonna connect here with this extra pylon. God damn it, regrets are made. I'm gonna break okay, I'm gonna connect here. Then this one connects to the tank. Then this one connects to here. Now this one should have 2 extra connections where I can connect to here. Okay. And I can even probably get an extra tank on it, which is pretty cool if I had the extra room in here to put one down. I think I found a room. There we go. We can use the extra yellow on this. There we go, extra tank. Okay, so we have the extra cable pylon with the yellow. This is connected to all my tanks. So pretty much you can make this very messy, and it doesn't matter. That's what I've been noticing, as long as everything's connected. So 4 blocks away, you put your extra pylon, connect them. Travel another 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Connect them. Super easy. You have this yellow cable getting connected all the way over here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you go diagonal? Let's find out. Yes, you can. And then you can connect the pylon to the actual disperser. And to show that it actually works, you could click to disperse life force manually. If you don't want to use the auto disperse function, you can click it and it will say requires 0 more if you actually gave it vivid. If you didn't, it'll still say it requires. If you click this button and it still has a requirement. But if I click it to show it, uses 27, and now it's ready to go. It's just ready to harvest PogChamp. So that's as easy. It even shows you the yellow moving over. And so that's the confusing part that everyone's been confused by, is using these sprinklers. But really, it's very basic. You just make a big network of tanks, pylons, and then at the end, you connect it to dispersers to actually sprinkle it onto the crops. And then all you have to do is set up these like semi-complicated things. So I've shown you this tier 2 where it was very easy. Put down a tier 2, put 4 tier 1s around it, and put a sprinkler. That's easy, dude. That's easy. Okay, but Ethan, what about this higher tier 3? Tier 3, man, it gets harder. Okay, dude, I know. Okay, so bear with me. It's very, very simple. So what you have here is the tier 3. The tier 3 requires 2 colors. You have to do both vivid and wild. The color that it isn't, always, okay? So the blue will have always the yellow and the pink. And a pink will always have yellow blue as the requirements, and a yellow will always have pink blue. Okay, so this one, because it needs vivid wild, I carried a yellow cable all the way to here to this disperser. As you can see, we have a yellow disperser doing this square. So it's vivid, vivid, wild, and vivid. So this wild doesn't matter over here. And then on the other side, because I have to do this whole square area, we have this disperser that's purple, pink. And so it does the wild, wild, and wild. You can see that it fits all those. And it has this extra one, but it's only all vivid, so it doesn't need the wild. And all you have to do is have these dispersers set up, and it works. I even set up an extra one, just to show that you really can go, like, it's very forgiving. You know, you can do whatever you want in the setups as long as it works. It doesn't really matter. It's in the end, we're probably going to get we're going to make some crazy setups that are min-max and, like, perfect use of the space in our hideout in the garden. But for now, I'm just getting all the basics and actually farming tier 2s, farming tier 3s. Like, I'm consistently farming. This is my blue one for tier 3. This is just permanently set up and I never have to move it. Same thing down here. I have a yellow one permanently set up and I never have to move it. So I can put tier 3 here, tier 2s around it, and I have the extra ones on the outside to grow it. I use blue disperser and the purple disperser to give it to the tier 3. And then over here I have a tier 3 purple. So this is my purple setup. Tier 3 in the middle with blue and vivid dispersers, which is the sprinklers, to actually give the life force to the other crops. And I can show you again, this is the blue one, here's the blue, here's the blue, these are vivid. And so to get the vivid done, I have this extra dispersers, 2 of them again in this area, because I had, it's uneven, you have to have extra. So I had 3 vivid and only 1 primal as the tier 2s, and then the tier 3 requires both, of course. And so yeah, here you go. And then, like I said, I just have all of the tanks and all of the pylons of every color connected. So the funny part is you can't connect the different colors though. So when you make a network, it's only one color for the whole cable, for the whole tank setup, for all of the dispersers is off one cable. So you want to basically have your one network of tanks touching the entire garden, and the same thing with the yellow and the pink. You want all of your colors and all of your tanks to have access to everywhere. So you want a pylon everywhere, and so then you have gardens where you can, and yeah, that's the garden. That's up to tier 3. So I do, in fact, now this is the final part. I think I've explained the garden up to tier the collectors and how to do tier 2s and tier 3s and how to actually make the gardens and how I've laid them out and how they actually work. It's very simple. Now I want to go over the last one. I've actually got my first tier 4, so I want to show you. And just a side thing, if you don't know, you can click this little arrow, decorations, and under hideouts, so in here you'll have all these options, all this stuff. Under hideouts, hideout item, you have seed stockpile, so you can use it and put it in your hideout, and you can access your seeds from your hideout. Okay, so then my thing that I want to show is I found this vivid scale fruit, and so this is a tier 4, my first one. And so what it shows us is that it's a vivid, so it's going to require vivid, big ass vivid. Okay, I need 4 of the tier 3s to make this grow, and so obviously that's what I'm working on. I have 2 tier 3s, 2 tier 2s, and yeah, I'm trying to find a tier 4 primal and a tier 4 wild, but I'm struggling. So then we have this tier 4 vivid, and it requires, surprisingly, a lot of primal, a lot of wild, but then it also requires vivid in the craft of the vivid. What? Okay, dude. So that's a tier 4. That's our first one. I don't know what the heck we're doing for the final boss yet. I don't know what is going to happen, but that's my goal for the season, is beating the final boss, so stay tuned. But I just wanted to put out this video about how to actually set up your farm to do tier 1s, tier 2s, tier 3s. I wanted to allow my viewers to be able to actually play Harvest up to tier 4. Tier 4 gets a little bit more complicated, but I don't think it's too bad because all you'll have to do is, like our setup with the tier 3, put a tier 4 in the middle, put tier 3s around that, put tier 2s around that, and the tier 1s on the outside don't matter. So then you would just have to put a harvester and maybe take out one tier 2 in the end, because where this would be, where this collector is to collect the tier 4 and the tier 3s mostly, would be where a tier 2 is. So you would have to take out a tier 2 after the tier 3s and tier 4s have grown, and you won't care about the tier 2s and tier 1s as much, except for extra juice to make the tier 4 and tier 3s better. Also, last tip, you could do them inside a map to have the extra quant of the map. That's it. That's all my advice up till now. I think that is the overall tutorial. I don't have an overall layout that you should copy, but basically using those tips I told you about the pylons and getting extra tanks and using the disperser as a sprinkler to actually grow tier 2s and tier 3s, and it's as simple as that. Don't think about it any further. It's really simple. The only thing I don't understand yet really is doing, I guess, tier 4s because I haven't done them yet, and the Hora crafting station, I don't know how to use it. Either way, thank you guys for watching. Thanks for all the support. I'll be streaming again today. We've already probably streamed 27 hours in the league of 40 hours of it being out. So that's pretty cool. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for all the support. I can't do this without you guys. Thank you to everyone watching, and thank you to all my Patreon and YouTube members for all the financial support. I'm gonna go fix up this page 1 second. I'll be right back. Alright, I had to fix Rico549 on the YouTube members. We're fixed. Thank you guys for all the support. Thank you to anyone new who joins, and I'll see you guys in the next episode or stream. Bye!